This is stimulus 1. So as you can see here over on the side, I've broken down the key things that you need to find in the exam question. So firstly, you need to represent volunteering in 2 ways. So within this text, you need to find 2 representations or 2 perspectives about how people view volunteering. For each of those representations, you then need to do these 3 things. You need to explain an example or attitude or belief. You need to find a language feature and a text structure. So to try and help you do that, what we've done is we've gone through and highlighted what we think are examples of this. So as you can see here, one representation of volunteering is that volunteering is for older people, not millennials. Now this was written by a Year 12 student. This is obviously just one perspective, but this is the first one that you can discuss. It then goes through and says millennials who are supposedly lazy, self-entitled and have no attention span and are apathetic. This is an attitude or belief about millennials. Not necessarily the correct one, but it's one perspective that's being put forward. We then need to identify a language feature, and we've already told you about a language feature being the way that things are written. So it requires lots of sacrifice, energy and time. So this rule of 3, so he's using that emotive language, that descriptive language to try and get his point across. We then have the text structure. So I've identified this part here where he said wrong, definitely wrong. Again, short sentences, lots of punctuation. Okay, that's how he's trying to emphasise the point that it's not the correct way to see things. The second representation that I've identified is actually from the commentators, or the commenters, sorry. Naresh, being a teacher, Lee, who is a retirement nurse. Okay, this one now is represented, or a different perspective, from an older generation. The attitude or belief that they have is that it can be interesting and rewarding, and I'm not sure who enjoys it more. Okay, so they're talking about how it can benefit other people, but not just other people. She says here it looks good on resume, so that's a benefit to you as someone who does that. So they're trying to say that volunteering is really good for you. The language features that they've included in here is the actual choice of language. So it's encouraging, volunteering is attractive. So again, using that emotive descriptive language. The text structures that have been included, I've tried to highlight in here the sentences that they've used. So they've identified who they are first off. So you can see here at the start, she says that she's a teacher. Lee identifies herself as a nurse at a retirement village. Okay, so if you're thinking about it in terms of it being persuasive, they're trying to say, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I have this special level of knowledge, I'm a bit of an expert in this field. So they've identified who they are. They've then at the end tried to say what benefit it has. So the teacher is obviously benefiting that it looks good to you on your resume. Lee, as a nurse, is saying it actually benefits older people by saying, I'm not sure who enjoys it the most. Okay, so if we put these into how we can address them. The author demonstrates initially that volunteering isn't for young people. He uses descriptive words to demonstrate a belief about young people. He makes his point by using emotive language and a combination of short and long sentences to emphasise his point. This is the stuff that you'd be writing into your response. The commenters are mostly from an older age group, so have different view on volunteering. They can see the benefit not only for themselves, but for other people. They have conveyed this message by their language choice, they've identified who they are, and the benefit that it can have on people in that order. So as you can see here, if we address those questions, we've talked about the representations of volunteering, explain an attitude of belief that's held, identify a language feature, and identify the text structures.